Welcome back to the FPL Banter podcast with myself, Mopey. We have Alex
We.
and Woody.
Hello.
All right, so last week, coming in with 67 points, well above average. A full 5 points above.
I believe that's a handful of points.
Yeah, but in a high-scoring week, because there were so many players that actually hauled this week, I think that coming in above average is actually quite good because there was, mostly in our league anyway, most people were in 60 plus points.
Poor old wits.
So yeah, a fairly good result last week. So should we start off with a little recap of how that went?
Yeah,
let's do it.
I think the most important thing for all of us KDB owners out there is the captain of KDB.
Yeah.
Even though
I feel like
we were
the
robbed.
KDB owners, they're going to get less smug once Aguero comes back and starts banging in penalties.
That is a possibility.
This is the thing. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the game very quickly. Number one, I felt there was a bit of a cheeky dive, so maybe he wouldn't have gotten those points.
Of course it was.
What do you think?
Absolutely, but then as we've discussed, and as sort of a lot of people have, the pundits have pundited, you look at Pervader in the Leeds game, who didn't go down and was clearly clipped and didn't get the penalty. And again, it's one of these things, like so many things in VAR and stuff. The rules aren't there to help the players, and the referees can only do what the rules say. So basically, if you get kicked, you go down. So it's the way it is. As long as everybody knows, and so when your team gets shafted by it, the next game they win a penalty doing the same thing, all evens out, and there's more goals. So
Yeah, but what I wanted to add was that, and Salah owners will know this from last season and sort of from this season, is that when Salah has a great game, we're talking a couple of goals, an assist, shakes the referee's hand at the end of the game, does all the right things. Suddenly, 0 bonus points, and then Matip shows up with 3. Anyway, that's incredibly frustrating, but it doesn't happen to KDB. I reckon KDB's got a bit of a brown envelope situation going on.
Well, he's got around something. But no, well, that's just because Salah's so wasteful. But we've discussed that in the past.
Adding to that, Man City only beat Fulham 2-0. I think most people expected a bigger score. So, maybe with Aguero back, they're going to be more consistent, start to get the points now. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I mean, do we want to talk about the Pep Roulette now?
Oh. Yeah. I mean, that's
how difficult it is.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And so we were discussing before the podcast, they basically have two 11s, and you're never sure which one's going to turn up. Apart from KDB and Edison, you're pretty safe with those, particularly when they're rested in the week.
And the midweek doesn't seem to make any difference because even when a player's rested, they seem to also get rested at the weekend.
Yeah.
Or if they play 90, they'll play 90 at the weekend. So it's very strange.
Our team has fallen foul the last 2 weeks in a row, right? It was Laporte 2 weeks ago, Walker last week. It's just like, they're rested. They must be. Oh no, they're rested 3.
And Foden as well. Last week,
yeah.
Should
we have Foden on the bench? Yeah, it's Kyle Walker, because I fell victim of it, and I had Kyle Walker for one game week, didn't play. I've gotten rid of him because I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to have that headache.
Yeah,
I don't want to have that headache.
I had Cancelo, and he's a good player and all, but it's just not worth it if he doesn't play.
Yeah.
Right. Should we move on to Man United? So United beat West Ham 3-1, but before Fernandes came on, it wasn't looking that way.
No, it was looking pretty horrendous, pretty shocking. But as it has been, even during the week, I mean, we're out of the Champions League. #Ollie out. I don't know. It's the usual. But the interesting ones, I mean, Pogba, Greenwood. I mean, Pogba is a bit out there.
Now, Pogba, with everything that's going on now with the off-field stuff, you'd have to be very brave to put him in. I honestly,
but he might be like, I want to leave, so I want to show my best. Do you know what I mean? Like Willian at the end of his Chelsea days. Do you know what I mean?
He
was
shop
smashing
window.
them in. Yeah, exactly.
It's true. But then
he could be an interesting one.
Is Ollie going to put him in the shop window? Is he going to say, "Now you're out of here. Do your best. Good luck. Cheerio. You're not poisoning my team anymore."
He helped us out against West Ham, and then he helped us out again during the week against Leipzig. Not that we were able to finish the comeback, but
it's true. But I mean,
I feel like what came out of that game, obviously, and we all know it, is that Fernandes is worth having. FPL asset wise, he's just. I mean, he shows up. Okay, he didn't haul last week, but even in 45 minutes, he got an assist. He got 3 bonus. Yeah, 2 bonus points.
2 VPs,
He
yeah.
originally had 3, and they downgraded him about 4 hours after the match.
Mm.
I saw everyone on Twitter was livid about that, understandably.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're going to get a Man United asset, I mean, even in a derby, because they're playing City this weekend, and I reckon that has potential for penalties. And Fernandez is just a good player overall, so really, he's one to have.
Yeah, you've got to have Fernandez, and also Man United asset wise, Rashford's the only other one you should really consider, or possibly Greenwood, but I'd give it another couple of weeks to see if he's going to keep starting, just because his price has dropped. So he's.
I had Rashi for a couple of weeks. And he is quite expensive for not delivering much. He is showing up every 3 game weeks, basically.
And I already broke his shoulder, and then I see him warming up and then playing like it was weird. Is his shoulder all right? Or
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I thought he was out, but yeah,
it was a knock, wasn't it? I don't know.
No. Anyway, yeah. So just touching
next?
on the Burnley Everton game, DCL got a goal. I think people were disappointed, and I was one of those people. So 1-1, pretty, I don't want to say boring, but maybe uninspiring game. And DCL gets a goal and gets no bonus points. A bit sad. But anyway,
as you mentioned, is that because the Everton, the way they're playing, is it time to get off? Like, I remember at the start of the season, thinking of Rodriguez and how everybody was like, he's a must-have, but he's blanked a lot of weeks in a row. DCL.
Oh yeah, even DCL. I think
tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, lots of people leaving the DCL train, but I don't know. I'm not ready for it
just yet.
For
that. Yeah, that price, man. I don't think he can get rid. I mean, okay, he's 8 currently at the moment, but when he came on, he was 7, wasn't he, at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
He was 7. Now he's raised up to 8. I mean, I've had him pretty much since the beginning, so that's not bad. Team value, as Tal is all about.
Yeah.
But
and if you get out, then you lose. You won't be able to buy him back in, really, without taking a big hit. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're playing Chelsea, then they're playing Leicester. Okay,
and speaking of Chelsea, 3-1 against Leeds. So I'm gonna have to concede that Giroud scored, and I believe last week I was not a fan, but he's a great player. It's just the issue I have is just minutes on the pitch. Is if he'll start or not. When he's on the pitch, of course he plays really well, but will he start? And we've talked about this a million times. Chelsea have so many options up front that it's really hard to predict who's going to start. I mean, Abraham didn't start, right?
No, but that's the thing. He might come on, and now with Ziyech being out for the rest of December, pretty much, and Hudson-Odoi, who is the natural wide right replacement, being out as well. You've got to think who they're going to put out wide right now, and it's basically between Pulisic playing on the wrong side or Mount. So I just think there might be an opportunity there.
Well, Havertz was playing behind Ziyech, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he could just be moved forward.
Yeah, he could be Well, Havertz is more central. Havertz is playing more through the middle. Like, he's definitely not out wide, cutting in, whipping in a ball on his left foot.
Yeah. That's true.
So that's an interesting one. But,
So, for that same game, Bamford showing up again. I think he's a consistent kind of 1 goal every 2 weeks.
It seems like Bamford is the new DCL at the moment, especially with the fixture run up to Christmas. If you didn't have Bamford or DCL and you're thinking of getting in, I reckon I'd go the Bamford route now.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I
mean, definitely, if you got in with Bamford at the start of the season at 5.5, you got to keep him. Like, the value, I mean, it's just, even if he gets 1 assist or goal every 3 or 4 weeks, it's still a good return over the season.
Yeah, it's a great return. No, he is good.
He's nailed, and there's a lot going for him.
Yeah.
And then you've got Werner coming back with an assist.
Yeah.
Is it time?
I don't know. He's still not. He's not
Have
looking
you seen
sharp.
his miss at the end of the game? That guy misses more than Salah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But if they fine tune him, presumably they just need to do a little bit more training on his finishing, and then he's going to be fucking immense. Isn't
I don't think it's training, because look how good he was in the Bundesliga. It's a mental headspace that you're in where you just can't hit a barn door. Right. It's like Adi Akinbaye back in the noughties. He went like 60 games without a goal, or a Benteke in more recent times. Do you think how prolific he was at Liverpool?
Oh yeah. Well, look, he scored 2 goals.
But that's what I'm mean. Back, baby. Exactly. That's exactly my point. So now he's back, red hot, possibly even white hot. He's that hot.
So anyway, Chelsea defenders, are we still on the Chilwell on the James train?
I don't think we're ever on the James train, but definitely Chilwell.
I was trying to make that a thing because I just got on the James train this week. So
You did, and it didn't really work out for you, did it?
I got 5 points. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. Okay. So I think we need to talk about if anyone's a Vardy owner out there, I can relate to your pain. Okay. I watched the Leicester Sheffield United game and Vardy scored at the very last minute. Okay, and it was very hard to watch. It was painful, but he brought us joy at the end. So what are we thinking about Vardy? Is he a must-have now or not?
I don't know if he's a must-have when you sort of consider the price, but if you've got him, I mean, stick with him. Maybe a good one for this week against Brighton. But I wouldn't bring him in necessarily if you're thinking if you're going to have to sacrifice someone that's already playing. Unless it's Werner, maybe Werner for Vardy. But if you've got Kane, stick with him. If you've got who else is similar value? Someone like Jesus, yeah, all right, get rid of Jesus.
Yeah,
but then
Spurs once again the Kane and Son duo showing up, assisting each other, scoring goals. You can't not have these two players, right?
The only thing I've mentioned to you guys as well is the reason that one of the reasons, not the reason, but they've been doing well recently against better teams playing on the counter. Like that's been their system, and they've done it very, very well. I mean, I can't believe Arsenal just walked into it the way they did. It was actually painful to watch. Honestly, I reckon I could have done a better job strategically in that game than Arteta. Seriously,
okay, but
just don't do that.
How do you see them going forward? Because they're playing Crystal Palace, so does that theory apply?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying there will be an upset, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if there was, because now all of a sudden they're going to have to play domination football, and I don't know if they can do that. Or they haven't done it for a while anyway.
Domination football,
yeah. Copyright, Woodard trademark.
And then just to finish off with the week, Liverpool showed up 4-0 against Wolves. I mean, I suppose it wasn't a surprise. It just you expect a bit more from Wolves, but Liverpool have been playing well, and Salah owners have been rewarded.
Yeah, but the problem is with Liverpool, I think, again, that we mentioned pre-recording, is the fact that for some reason during the week, Klopp decided to play both Salah and Jota for the full 90, almost the full 90.
Well, Salah got 90, Jota got 87, and then Mane got a little warm-up for 3 minutes. So the Mane owners will be happy for next week.
Yeah.
Well, for the week coming, I mean.
I'm one of them, yeah.
Well, it's like Alex, but Alex mentioned as well, it's like we talk about the Pep roulette, but there's also a bit of a Klopp roulette going on,
yeah.
Who's going to start this week? It's hard to say because they're playing Fulham. Okay, no disrespect to Fulham, but I would expect Liverpool to consider that an easier game. So, are they going to rest some of their big players? Are we going to see a bit of Shaqiri, the Ox?
The Ox is still out, but yeah,
still injured. Yeah,
Ox. We're going to see a bit of Curtis Jones, maybe.
Yeah, I mean Minamino, Jota, Origi. But I mean, one thing I will say, being a Robbo and Trent owner, and potentially a Matip owner this week. I think the defense is more nailed. Like if they're fit, Robbo and Trent are going to start, and particularly as Trent's just back from injury, and he was captained. So they want to in the midweek. Sorry, not last week. He's captained in Europe against Midtjylland. I can't pronounce it, but so obviously they're building him back up. So I guarantee he's a guaranteed starter if he's fit. And Robbo was rested for 70 minutes or something, so I'm pretty sure he's a guaranteed starter as well. And Matip was rested.
I'm always wary when I hear a James Woodard guarantee.
The Woodson guarantee. It's a proud daddy certified guaranteed starter.
Okay. Okay, and Southampton Brighton. So we have a bit of Ings back in the game,
yes.
Right?
I mean that was one thing from last week and midweek is it's the return of guys like Ingsy and Aguero. Because I would say most people have dropped them. Maybe not from your draft team, but certainly from your FPL main team. The only people hanging on to them are people that don't really play. You know what I mean? If anyone's active in the game, they would have been dropped. So is it time to bring him back in? I mean, maybe for the DCL. Maybe you want an Ings DCL if you've got the spare cash.
I just want to throw something out there that I think has been a little bit overlooked is the Pascal Gross train. So he has, in the past 3 game weeks, 8, 10, 5, and then before that, 3 and 6. And that coincides with the fact that in the beginning of the season, he was playing 11 minutes, 16 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. So once he got his 90 back, which he has since game week 7, he's produced a return in 5 out of the 6 last games. So he's on penalties. And do you remember last season, he was prolific, or the season before that? So maybe one to watch. So.
Yeah, I mean, for for a budget guy. And like you say, I seem to remember him being on free kicks as well last season.
And corners, I think.
Yeah, so he's a bit of a dead ball guy, and he's 5.8. And Fulham and Sheffield United coming up after this week. And I mean, if you're a bit sick of the Ward-Prowse train, you want to get on the Gross train?
No one gets sick of the Ward-Prowse.
Yeah,
now that Easy's back.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's not
and midweek, for once, I've jinxed it. I don't think there's been that many injuries, and I don't think that COVID has affected too many people. Although we'll probably find out the results later on today, right? It's Thursday. Yeah. So as it stands, it doesn't seem like there's been any major injuries or players out. But of course, that could change. We always get a bad surprise at the last minute.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. We got through the midweek fairly unscathed, I would say, and also, of course, being said, there's still Leicester, Arsenal, and Spurs to play tonight. I mean,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it'll be the Arsenal C team because they're already through, right? They've won every game. Spurs, I think they need to win to finish top, don't they?
Do they?
Well, either way, let's face it. Liverpool and City didn't need to play at all, and they still fielded half their first team. So obviously the midweek chat there's still 3 of the 7 teams to play. So we might not get through all this conversation with Kane and Son and everything is all obviously dependent on them not pulling a groin or something.
Any podcast that's on a Thursday, I suppose it goes without saying there's a disclaimer that it doesn't take into account the Europa game, so be aware. Now, before we get on to our team of the week, I just want to point something out to everyone. I'm sure people are aware of this, but in case you're not, so we have Gameweek 12 this weekend, which ends on Sunday. Starts on Friday, by the way. Ends on Sunday. Then Gameweek 13 starts on Tuesday and ends on Thursday. And Gameweek 14 starts on Saturday and ends on Monday. So, right. What we're expecting is a lot of rotation there, and that might be why some of the midweek games have either rested players or not rested players. So I think a deep bench is definitely going to be worth it, and maybe holding a transfer because you may find some of the big names or some of your team's players won't play this midweek game week. So it's something to consider for sure.
I mean, definitely a deep bench because I think it's going to be every manager roulette come next week because you think, oh, well, he didn't play in the last game, so he must get 90 minutes. And oh, no, because you just don't know. Basically, it's 3 games in a row, and you just don't know if they're going to play the first 2 and be rested, play 1, rest, play the next one, don't play 2. So I just think, once again, bang on the old deep bench drum, you got to have even goalkeepers. I think it's time to get rid of Nyland and get a playing goalkeeper. Because they even keepers might get rested. So you need 4 playing people on your bench.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking as a Jamie Vardy owner. So Leicester play on Sunday, then they play again on Wednesday, and then they play again on Sunday. So, I mean, really, that's 3 games in 7 days. And there's difficult games there, the Spurs and so on. So, expecting some blanks there for sure. Okay, so we do a team of the week every week, and it does fit in a 100 mil budget, which is different to other competitor websites. And the idea is you could get it on a wild card, and it's a reasonable team. So with that in mind, who wants to kick us off with defenders and goalkeepers? Is it my turn?
It might be your turn.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're playing a 3-4-3 this week. And in goals, probably no surprise, we've got McCarthy, who's been playing really well. And they've got Sheffield United at home. Now, there's a bit of a fear that Sheffield United are going to go, come on, guys, we need to get back into it. We need to score some goals. And it's the week not to have them. But we reckon McCarthy is a good shot. And on the bench as a substitute keeper, we have Kelleher, who's playing incredibly well at the moment. And he seems to be nailed for Liverpool. Alisson's still out. Was it a hamstring, Woody?
I think it was a hammy. Yeah, pulled a hammy, kicking a ball, as you do.
Yeah, weird. Hamstrings. I guess sometimes they keep you out for 2 months, and in Son's case, they don't keep you out for even a week.
or in good old Timothy Castagna's case, a 2 week becomes a 6 week.
Weird.
Do we know when he's back? Do we know when he's back?
Honestly,
Because this is quite relevant.
For the last like 3 or 4 weeks, it's been like, yeah, he's nearly there. We'll see how he is before the game. And then, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be another couple of weeks. And then like at the end of the next week, oh, he's really, really close. We'll see how he is before the start of the game. Oh yeah, no, he's still. So they just keep saying it's imminent, and it's really frustrating me because I've been hanging on to him this entire time. Anyway.
Okay, I'm just realizing now that they've made me say the defense goalkeeper because they want me to justify having Bellerin in defense. Okay, so I've always had a theory that you should not get Arsenal players in defense. Now, obviously we have Bellerin, okay, and he's playing Burnley, and Burnley have not been scoring many goals. This is the week where Burnley are going to show up.
Yeah, I can
trust me.
Yeah, I can. This is their week.
But what I would say about Bellerin is he's got potential going forward. So I suppose my theory more it's aimed at things like the lack of clean sheets and so on. So we got Bellerin starting us off, and then we have Chilwell who's playing Everton. Not a great fixture for clean sheets and so on, but Chilwell has just been in form. It's almost like you can't have him. That guy he gets a shot on target every game. It's very rare for defenders.
Yeah.
But he has been. But it's weird. From what I've been analysing, I don't know. I might be wrong, but it feels like they're kind of attacking Chelsea, attacking more down the right side than the left side. So there's more James that's kind of chucking the balls in there rather than.
That's true.
Chilwell.
James gets more crosses, but I feel like Chilwell gets like he does the
runs,
the overlap and the underlap. You know,
so also,
he kind of goes.
It depends who they're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and then our third playing defender is Robbo. Obviously, playing Fulham, he's been in form and he's been playing really, really well. I think the points will come. He's due a haul. And then on the bench we have Taylor because they're playing Arsenal.
Deep bench on our deep bench.
Yeah. And then Walker Peters, and we kind of had some hesitation whether Kyle Walker Peters should start or not. But anyway, he's on the bench, and he's been in form as well. We obviously couldn't afford Vestergaard, but if you can afford Vestergaard, he's a good Southampton man to have. And that's the defense.
Lovely. Alex, why don't you take the midfield?
Okay, so midfield, we have Neto to start. So that's obviously Wolves versus Aston Villa. As we've said, we're not really sure about that game, and we've got Neto and Grealish in midfield because that just shows how unsure we are of which way this is going to go, to be honest. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think it'd be goals either way, I reckon.
Yeah, so... and
Could it be one of those mysterious nil-alls?
No, don't say that, mate. Don't, Ruddy, go and say that.
It's unlikely. I would say it's unlikely. I would say there's going to be goals both ways. I don't think it's a game to have any of the defenders.
Hey, Wolves.
Yeah, but will it be one of those Dendonker goals and maybe?
Oh yeah.
Do you know one of those?
That's a good mention. Yeah. Now, Dendonker, what position was he playing last week? Because I was really thrown off by what position he was playing.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, he sort of plays in the center of the mid three, but then he does support the attack, which is weird because he can often play centre back as well. And he's a Milner-esque utility player.
Yeah, he's interesting because he had a few chances last week, but unfortunately didn't capitalise. But so Neto, Grealish, and then we have Mane against Fulham. We've gone Mane instead of Salah purely because of the fact that Salah he wasn't rested. Mane was rested, except for the 3 minutes that he had a little bit of jog around in Norway. But so I think
he nearly got an assist, and he got robbed by VAR again. Not clear and obvious, but hey,
that was ridiculous. Anyway,
it's ridiculous.
Then we have Son for obvious reasons against Crystal Palace. Although last week, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't have any Spurs players last week, did we? In our team? No, we didn't.
Did we not? I thought we had no, we didn't, did we?
No, it was a full-on.
Yeah, we got scared of the London derby, didn't we? Yeah. Oh, we had Aurier, of course,
which
was a good shout. Of course.
So Son against Crystal Palace, and then we have Woody's favourite, Burke.
My boy, Ollie Burke. Right, I'm going to take the credit for this one. Right. So as everybody knows, the best thing in the world is a player who plays more forward than he is. Like if you had a goalkeeper who was a centre back, you'd be laughing. And he is a midfielder who plays as a striker, who, while they're not scoring a lot of goals, he is actually starting with McBurney up front. And he's only 4.3. He's literally the cheapest midfielder you can get. And he's playing as a striker.
He's only started one game though, right?
But I mean, the last couple of weeks, he's been playing most of the game and been receiving praise from Chris Wilder.
But let me ask you this: did he play well? Come on, let's be honest.
No, he played terribly, but he's 4.3.
Okay. So if you want 2 points, there
If
you
you
go.
ever
That's
want,
how to get
maybe
him.
even just one,
Okay.
But he'll be there. His luck's got to change.
Okay.
Okay, Woody.
So I guess that's the forwards. Yep.
Yeah,
All right. So continuing on the old Spurs versus Crystal Palace. Now, again, as I mentioned in the podcast earlier, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced how Spurs are going to play against Palace. I think it might be one of those weird ones. But if anyone's going to get goals, it's going to be these two. It's that weird thing where there's certain people in certain teams that are bagging all the points, which leads us on to our next two forwards, Ings and Wilson. Because if anybody's going to get points against Sheffield United and West Brom, it'll be those two, even if it's not much.
What about Joe Linton?
Even maybe. So I mean, Ings, he's back, baby. He's fit. He's on Penos, obviously, and.
Is he fit though? Like, is he getting 90 or not?
I think he will. I think he will. He I don't know how many minutes he played, but he looked pretty sharp. And I mean, even if he only gets 60, he'll be potent for those 60. So I think it's a good shout. And thinking going forward as well, he's a good one to have. Now, my only reservation about Wilson, as I mentioned to you guys before, is that COVID outbreak that they had at Newcastle. It's all clear now, but they haven't been training for the best part of a week. The training ground was closed, and obviously they've got staff and members still isolating, not exactly sure who. So it might just put Newcastle on the back foot a bit tactically and strategically, and match fitness. If they've all been isolating at home, it's not the same. So there's just that little element that if you were hesitating for other reasons, just bear that in mind as well. That being said, it's West Brom at home, and like I say, if anyone's going to get points in that game, it's going to be Wilson.
Okay.
And that's it. That's a 3-4-3. Obviously, we're playing. We didn't mention that, but
so Wilson, Ings, and Kane. I think that's pretty strong. There's a bit of a lack of Vardy up there, but as we've already discussed, Vardy doesn't really know what form he's in. I think that's the issue. He doesn't really fancy. He doesn't know if he's at the Vardy party or not.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't know. I'd like to know, but
no, but he's as you've said loads of times before. Sorry, as you said loads of times before, Eric. He can just score with nothing. Like, he doesn't need much to score, right? He doesn't need.
Yeah.
Like, he just can just turn around, boom, score a goal, done. Like, even with being MIA the whole game.
Yeah, like last week. True. Like, in the 89th minute, out of nothing, he's done. Well, to be fair, actually, he hit the post. He had actually a productive game last week.
But here's a question for you, because this is a question I've been asking myself. If a player that's worth like 10.5, if he returns maybe a goal or an assist every game week, is he worth that money?
Well, he consistently gets on the board every game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's DCL, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, but he's not
worth
10,
about 10 million.
He's not 10 plus. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's not. But he's only getting 6. And let's assume you had a defender who's getting a lot of clean sheets like Vestergaard. Then you have to ask yourself, is it worth it?
I mean, it's not the most competitive, because let's assume you got roughly 40 games a season, roughly 5 points a game. That would be, so you're looking at 200 points for a 10 mil guy. I mean, it's not the most productive, but it's certainly in the acceptable range. It's acceptable. It's not the best.
Do you know what? Vestergaard has been he's been very smart about his clean sheet. So when he gets a clean sheet, he's like, nah, I won't take a header. And when he's conceded a goal, he's like, right, better get a header to all my boys who got me an FPL.
He's a considerate player.
That's how he gets.
He's a considerate player.
He is. He thinks about it. Whereas Pep, he's not. He's not considerate guy when it comes to FPL.
One thing we need to mention, though, Eric, presumably, is Zaha. Why have we omission? What's with the Zaha omission?
Oh, well. Zaha is my boy, and the listeners won't know this, but I've already tried to get him into the team. I was vetoed.
Yeah,
fine.
You must have been livid last week having sold him. Oh.
Well, no. I sold him for the sole reason that he had COVID, and you don't know when the players will come back. COVID can last 2 or 3 weeks sometimes, because you have to get the negative test.
Yeah, but you can't tell me you weren't livid. You weren't looking at that thinking, if only.
I kind of think of him as my son, I'm so proud of him, I'd be on the touchline chatting him, Anyway, so all that said, Zaha played really well, but as we discussed, the fixtures are not looking great now going forward. The question is, can he still do it on a winter's day at something like that? So
yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
at Selhurst Park, so not Vardy. But the other thing I'd like to
But
mention as well, just quickly, is you talk about Vardy and stuff. I know we haven't got them in our team, but I don't think a Leicester attacking option would be a bad idea this week against Brighton, obviously. So I think Barnes has been pretty tested. Madison's looking pretty
interesting
good.
statistic with Brighton is that they have conceded and been awarded, I think, the most penalties in the league. So there have been the most penalties when Brighton have played games, basically.
Ah,
So
okay.
and
United
Vardy's on
one.
penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Barnes, Perez? I mean, because Perez scored last week, didn't he?
Yeah, Perez is a bit of an out there shout, but something like Madison, Barnes, or Vardy, it wouldn't be a bad shout.
True.
Do you know what? Perez is not Perez. He's Ayose. Like on his shirt, it says Ayose. But interestingly, you never see a guy with a normal name getting that in the shirt, like Dave. Right?
That is true.
Oh no, that's not true. Actually, Thomas Partey. He's got Thomas.
Yeah, but I feel like it's Thomas.
Yeah, but
'cause
still,
he's French.
if you look at it, you're like, all right, Thomas.
Yeah. Right. So should we talk about captains?
So, captain, we've put Mane so far with advice for Kane. How do we feel?
Yep. I mean, I
I'm
think
pretty happy with Mane.
Mane at Fulham, I think, and he's due a haul. Like he hasn't been banging them in a lot lately. So I think
I'd be happy with a Salah if Salah hadn't played sort of 180 minutes in the past 4 days. So I'm gonna go with Mane. Yeah, I'm happy with that. For once, we all agree.
All right, cool.
No, Kane captain's not a bad shout. Yeah.
Just a quick fire, if we have time. I'm just going to throw a few players at you and tell me what you think. But we didn't talk about it yet. So, what do we think of Susek?
Ooh,
Suchek,
yeah, no,
Suchek.
he's one that's I
my
always
boy.
see on
4.9.
I always see him on people's benches, and they're not starting him, and he seems to be banging in the points. So
Yeah,
he's an
he's my
interesting
boy.
one. Yeah.
I've had him in my team for a while, and he's coming off the bench, and he's been delivering the last few weeks.
Are we thinking anything about Mahrez?
Paid 90, but Pep roulette.
He didn't play very
But
well
Pep
during
loves
the
him.
week.
Pep said but Pep loves him at the moment. You not seen in his press conferences?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't get him, but if you've got him, wouldn't be bad.
Okay. And one more for you.
Yeah.
Pulisic.
Yes, I love Pulisic. Get right in there.
That's for Woody.
No-
That's definitely for Woody.
No holds barred. Get him. He's brilliant.
Okay. And he's got a brand new beard, which is looking good.
Love the beard.
Okay. All right, then. Well, that basically concludes the podcast. So,
Fantastic.
as we said, the big thing this week is think about the coming game weeks because there's basically 3 game weeks in 7 days. So, hopefully, have a deep bench and have a great game week. That's it from us.
All right, bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.